South Africa's financial sector recently secured a highly publicized reprieve, a successful exit from the Financial Action Task Force greylist. Market reactions often treat these regulatory removals as a final victory, a signal that the scrutiny is over and business can return to normal. But exiting a greylist is a remediation exercise. It patches immediate emergencies to stop capital flight. It does not permanently fix the underlying architecture. The actual test of structural maturity is the impending 2027 FATF mutual evaluation. That deadline is forcing a profound regulatory push. To prepare for that evaluation, lawmakers are advancing the General Laws Amendment Bill, targeting anti-money laundering and combating terrorism financing. This legislation is designed to aggressively eliminate the remaining technical deficiencies identified in previous international assessments before the 2027 auditors arrive. We are looking at a macroeconomic strategy disguised as legal compliance, designed to secure long-term investment confidence by proving the system is permanently fortified. Illicit capital behaves like water. It naturally flows toward the points of least resistance within a jurisdiction's corporate structures. Instead of creating a massive, single enforcement agency to fight this, the new bill takes a decentralized architectural approach. It simultaneously upgrades existing laws. This matrix shows the 5 foundational statutes targeted for upgrades: the Companies Act, the Financial Intelligence Center Act, the Financial Sector Regulation Act, the Nonprofit Organizations Act, and the Closed Corporations Act. When these laws operate independently, bad actors engage in regulatory arbitrage. They structure entities specifically to hide in the reporting discrepancies and empty spaces between these different legal definitions. The amendment bill acts as a unifying overlay. It synchronizes the reporting standards across all 5 disparate acts, firmly sealing those gaps. The primary enforcement mechanism created by this synchronized net is mandatory beneficial ownership oversight, forcing anonymous corporate structures into the light. By harmonizing rules, South Africa's domestic laws pull into strict alignment with international counter-terrorism financing standards. True systemic transparency cannot rely on isolated pillars of compliance. It requires an interlocking regulatory net. At the legislative level, this strategy is elegant. On the ground, it now translates into severe operational mandates. Looking at this operational target, the heaviest administrative burden falls squarely in the center, hitting major financial institutions and entities strictly accountable under the Financial Intelligence Center Act. The net expands to a vital middle layer of accountability: trust and corporate service providers and auditors. Finally, the legislation sweeps up the broadest layer of the economy, directly impacting general companies, nonprofit organizations, and foreign investors. For corporate boards, the mandate is clear. They must proactively audit their current internal systems before the law takes full effect. First, review and upgrade ownership disclosure pipelines to handle detailed beneficial ownership data. Next, tighten internal risk management controls for higher regulatory scrutiny. Third, drastically enhance frontline client due diligence procedures. These procedural upgrades are mandatory simply to process the incoming surge in regulatory reporting obligations. The operational friction of compliance is steep, but it is the necessary toll required to participate safely in a globally trusted market. It is easy for businesses to view this impending spike in administrative burden and operational costs as a penalty. However, this split-screen model illustrates the underlying macroeconomic rationale. Rigorous domestic compliance is a leading indicator for foreign direct investment inflows. This trade-off is calculated. High oversight increases administrative costs, but signals to institutional investors that the jurisdiction filters illicit activity, reducing regulatory risk. International capital depends on standardized, predictable regulatory environments to mitigate sovereign risk. Maintaining the positive momentum gained from the greylist exit is critical to preserving South Africa's current capital inflows. If the international community discovers institutional weaknesses during the 2027 review, that investment pipeline instantly freezes. Therefore, high-friction, proactive regulation acts as a powerful de-risking mechanism for institutional investors. This timeline maps the broader strategic picture. The critical transition zone lies exactly between the greylist exit and the 2027 FATF evaluation. The interlocking matrix of the 5 amended statutes will act as the protective armor through this highly scrutinized period. This sends a very clear geopolitical signal. South Africa is acting preemptively to fortify its financial integrity framework rather than waiting for international pressure or the threat of sanctions. In an era of hypermobile capital, investment funds are highly fluid. They will rapidly abandon jurisdictions that show structural vulnerabilities. Conversely, jurisdictions that enforce strict compliance systems are rewarded with smooth, uninterrupted access to global financial markets. While passing the 2027 audit is the immediate goal, the bill's lasting impact is the creation of a durable financial integrity framework. This legislation establishes South Africa's position as a mature, globally aligned financial hub.